Thanks. Hi, morning, everybody. I'm not going to do the yellow vest thing, and I don't think I've ever been called Mr. David Grossman in my life before. Anyway, thank you very much for having me. I am CEO of this thing called the Simplify Group, and I'm going to explain in a few moments what that actually means and what's part of it. I've been in this job for a little over 12 months, and that's just after our new investor, an organisation called Capital Partners, took a majority stake in the businesses that now make up the Simplify Group. I joined the business shortly after that. My background is running businesses that either have technology at their heart, so their products are core technology services, or businesses that operate in sectors which are being transformed by technology. And I put the property and legal services market, which is where the Simplify Group operates, as a good example of that. I'm going to talk about three things today in the 15 minutes I've got. Number one, what is the Simplify Group and what does it make up? Secondly, what have we been doing in the first 12 months of our existence and why is that relevant to you here? And thirdly, what's the plan for the next 3 years? So that's pretty straightforward, I hope. So kicking off with the group. You can see here a picture of what the group comprises, number of different brands, a number of businesses, which I'll just kind of walk you through. On the right-hand side of the screen is the bit that I think for this group you'll be most familiar with. These are our property-related businesses. Now, for a group like this, I don't think I need to say anything about Move With Us, but probably for some people, DC Law may not be as familiar. I know there are a number of people here who do work very closely with DC Law, but for those of you who don't know, DC Law is a volume conveyancer. It's one of the largest volume conveyancers in the UK, and we have two large offices. The biggest of them is in Southport, Merseyside. The second of them is co-located with the Move With Us business in St Ives in Cambridgeshire. So volume conveyancer, which does a small proportion of the conveyancing instructions that pass through Move With Us in a given year. Okay, on the left-hand side are probate businesses. What do I mean by probate businesses? So very simply, our probate businesses speak to and advise people who have been bereaved and specifically then go and help them obtain a grant of probate and then administer the estate of their deceased loved ones. We're the largest probate organisation in the UK doing similar things, and it's directly relevant to the right-hand side of the slide, to the property businesses. And it's directly relevant because, as I'm sure you guys know, that in just under 50% of cases where there's a probate, there's a property involved. And in many of those cases, the property needs to be sold as part of the administration of the estate. And the more properties we can pull from that side of the slide from this side to the slide onto that side of the slide, the more we can do good business and the more we can then pass property instructions to our estate agent partners. So that's the probate business. Then in the middle are two smaller businesses that form part of the group. First one is Quality Solicitors. Quality Solicitors is a network of around 200 high street-based law offices, solicitors' offices. They all brand under the common Quality Solicitors branding, but we don't own them. It's if you like a franchise. It's a network operation. These organisations pay a fee to be part of the business. We help them with lead generation and other things, but they brand Quality Solicitors and they agree to a common set of service standards. So, for example, they're all open on Saturdays, which means that we can go on TV and advertise that Quality Solicitors is open on Saturdays, etc. Then the final business, Evident. This was a business that we bought about 6 months ago. And you'll be hearing from one of the founders of that business a little bit later on this morning. Very interesting business. What it does is online legal document production. Okay, fascinating. What the hell's that? Well, what that means in practice is if you as an individual or as a small business have some form of legal need, you need to produce a document. It could be a will for yourself. It could be an employment contract for a member of staff, a short-term lease, etc. There are hundreds of these documents. Go online, fill out a load of questions, the sorts of questions that, frankly, a lawyer would ask you if they were going to do the work, and the system will produce for you a very tailored legal document for the particular situation you're in. So that's that business, and this is what the group looks like. And as I say, it came together 12 months ago. An organisation called Capital Partners, a private equity organisation, invested in all of these businesses and brought them together, and that's when I joined the business. And what I'd like to talk to you about is, in those last 12 months, what I've been doing and what we've been doing to make this into a group which is delivering value for us, but also for you. So a year on, there are 4 things that I'd like to talk about. The first one is this: growth ambition. Now, there are some private equity organisations whose mode of operation is to buy something that they think is doing okay but fundamentally poorly managed, strip out a load of costs and sell it on a year or 2 later. That's not what Palamon Capital do. These guys are growth investors. They typically hold on to the businesses that they invest in for between 7 and 8 years, and they plough investment into a business in order to grow it. And we've been lucky enough to see that happening over the course of the last year. The strategy is very simple. It's make each of those component parts of the business successful, and as successful it can be in its own right. And then in addition, to join up the different parts of the business so that we can pass work and leads through from one part to another. And the most obvious example of that is the probate leads that move into our property sales division in Move With Us. Growth ambition is one thing, but the next thing I've been focused on is leadership. So as the CEO of that group of a number of businesses, clearly one of the things I need to do is I need to put the right people in charge of each of the businesses to be able to grow them. And I've made quite a lot of changes in the leadership of the whole group, actually, that I showed you before. In particular, of relevance to this group are the changes that we've made to the leadership of both Move With Us and DC Law in the last year. Some of you may know Sean King, who until the beginning of this year was leading a combination of both Move With Us and DC Law. Sean has stepped back from that leadership, and as a result, I've taken the opportunity to appoint 2 other people to lead each of those businesses. Ben Greco, who up until that point earlier in the year was leading the property sales and property services division of Move With Us, now leads the whole of the organisation, as I'm sure you know. And I brought in somebody to lead DC Law, a guy called Kevin Smith, who I think is also here today. Kevin was instrumental in founding and growing My Home Move, a very large volume conveyancer, and he was there until a couple of years ago, where I think by all accounts he'd done some extraordinary work. He's now leading our DC Law business. Now, what's as important as the fact I hope I've got the right people to lead these businesses is the fact that I've got separate people leading these businesses, both reporting to me. What does that mean? It means that although they're related, and Move With Us and DC Law will, of course, be related as part of the group, they are separate, and their job is to succeed separately and to make sure that they are successful in their own rights. And I'll touch a little bit on that in a moment. So that's leadership. Technology. Technology and digital, and by digital I mean all things online. If there's one area that we have over-invested in the last year, this has been it. I said that my background has been in working in technology industries, technology businesses or industries being impacted by technology, and I fundamentally believe that the way in which we all use technology is going to change our industry. And therefore we've been investing heavily. So to the point on leadership, I brought in 2 kind of heavy hitters, 2 very experienced technology people to lead different parts of our technology capability. One of them you'll be hearing from later. But we've also been investing in technology. So we've invested in platforms, we've invested in systems to help us be more efficient and do our jobs better. But we've also invested a lot of money in developing some products that we want to be able to share with you, and we will share with you later today. These are products that are going to allow you to generate more listings, to help you be successful, and then ultimately for us both to generate conveyancing instructions as well that we can share the value of. These are products that when we work with developers, we are going to put in their hands so they're able to deliver more property sales, in particular through part exchange. So we're investing in products in order to be able to grow our business and indeed yours. Which leads me finally onto the last theme for the year, which has been investment. One of the advantages of being owned by a private equity firm is that when there are good reasons to invest, they invest. These guys have got big checkbooks, and we've been lucky that they've opened them up to us. So whether it's investing in the people that I've been able to bring into the organization, whether it's been investing in the technology and products that we're going to share some of with you today, or whether it's investing in buying businesses. We bought 2 businesses over the course of the last 12 months. One of them is this business, Evident Legal, that I mentioned before, the online legal document automation business. And the other is we bought a business from HSBC Bank. We bought their probate operation. Just fits very neatly into our existing probate business, and it just adds more volume. Now, volume's great for us in probate. We make money out of helping people with their probates and their administration of their loved ones' estates. But also, the more probates we do, the more properties we can do. The more properties we can do, the more we can generate corporate property sales, which we can then pass through our estate agent network. So that's been the story of the year. And looking forward as to what we want to do in the next 2 to 3, I suppose the short answer is build on the same thing. And the buzzword here for me is growth. So the first one is growing probate. This is, as I've said before, this is our double whammy. For every new 100 probates that we can do, we know 50% of them are going to have property, and we know a proportion of those that are going to want to sell it. It absolutely makes sense. We can drive it through into our Move With Us corporate property business and through into our network. Not only that, but we continue to look for acquisitions for this business. I said we just bought HSBC's business. We completed on that deal just last week, which means we're going to have a whole load new work coming into this business and again through into property. We're looking at more acquisitions in this space, more partnerships to be able to build up our probate business and be able to drive more through. Which brings us on to property sales. Property sales is going to grow in the next few years. We've got an ambition to increase our property sales instructions by 2,000 additional instructions. That's going to come primarily from probate and part exchange, not exclusively. Probate will be partly from our own probate division in the way I've described, but partly from others. So a few months ago, we also won the corporate property work for actually one of our probate competitors called King's Court Trust. So we compete with them in our core probate business, but they've chosen Move With Us to do their corporate property work. So in the same way, we're going to be selling their properties, driving it through into the Move With Us corporate property portfolio and through to our network. We'll also be working with developers to really drive Part X. And Part Exchange, we think we can help with some of the technology investments, which are similar to those that we're going to share with you today, as to how we can help you, we hope, drive listings. Next one. Grow DC Law. I want DC Law to be the absolute best, unquestionably, volume conveyancer organisation in the UK. And I know some of you will be working with DC Law right now, and I hope many more of you will choose to work with DC Law in the future. But the key word here, by the way, is choose. Because categorically, what we are not going to do is what some of our competitors have done, which is somehow conflate our panel management work with our conveyancing work. We're not going to get to a point where some of our competitors have, where something like 85% of all the work that comes through panel management gets done by the in-house conveyancer. Now, I hope, don't get me wrong, I hope many of you who don't use DC Law will decide to do so. You will decide to do so because we will deliver on quality and will deliver on service. And Move With Us, working with DC Law, will be particularly effective because we're in the same family, we'll make that thing work extremely well for you. But for those who choose not to, Move With Us, panel management will be there to give you that option for you to choose who you want your conveyancing to be done by, and that's not going to change. And finally, grow investment in technology. This is the stuck record, I guess you've heard from me, but I do believe it fundamentally. We're going to be continuing to invest in people. We're going to be continuing to invest in the products that we're developing to allow you to drive your businesses. And we're going to be continuing to invest on the platforms to make us to be a better business to deal with as well, both for you and for our end consumers who we work for and for your customers too. So that's really where I want to end today. So to conclude, the Simplified Group is one where I want us to be successful in each part of the business that I shared, but in addition to that, to work out ways that we can constantly move around work from one part of the business to the other for the benefit of our collective partners. And the key word is grow. We've got a plan for growth. We've got investors standing behind us who are willing to fund our growth. And we're going to, whether through providing you with technology, whether it's about building new channels in our probate business to create more property sales, we're going to be growing, helping you compete and allowing you to grow. So thank you very much.